That makes me happy.
It does, yeah. Yeah, we're not putting up with any garbage. So, let me get a water bottle now that I'm just walking away from my duties. Hold, please. Hold, please. Hold, please.
Say we're not having Academy tonight.
Yes, we are.
I think that's
People can hear you. People can hear you. People can hear you.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't.
Did you really say that, or am I dreaming it?
Elena, people can hear you.
We're live on TikTok.
Hi. She's just kidding. That Elena, she's like she's a comedian.
I want to keep you on your toes.
We're having it, but we're having it different. So, hello. More likes can attract viewers. Okay, then y'all like me. Is that too much? I don't know. Is that too much? I wore red today because I knew all of my meetings were going to be a bloodbath. Bloodbath. So let's talk about my meetings today, shall we? Yes, we shall.
Please. Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4 meetings resulted in 4 state complaints for having a para delivering special education. She said, "Are you ready?" Somebody said to me, "We disagree what the word supervise means." So you know what I said? You know what I said? I said Tabitha. Let's say her name was Tabitha. Are there kids in the building where you're doing this IEP meeting? Yes. Are you supervising them? And she said no. Supervision means super with your vision. What the Hello Kitty are you talking about? She said it's an interpretation issue. It's not an issue. You're criminals. So, hello, lovely people. I'm back in America. So if you guys want to join us tonight, we're having a special academy tonight, going over what people are concerned about if there's a change in the Department of Education. So if that's something you'd be interested in, come on over to the academy. We can, any updates on Denton? Yeah, I got an update on Denton. Denton took away a child's Dexcom who's diabetic. And he also went to the nurse and it was at 71 and she said, "We're not going to do this. You're not really in diabetic." And he also went to the nurse and it was at 71 and she said, "We're not going to do this. You're not really in numbers till you're at 70. Go back to class. This won't be an excuse absence. We're not going to do that." I'm going to do that. So we'll be having another press conference in Denton because obviously we can't have enough press conferences. So if you're going to be a criminal, I guess you really committed Denton ISD. So what is wrong with people? If you don't like children, if you don't like teaching, if you don't want to do that job, there are other jobs like, DoorDash. All right.
Selling lipstick at Macy's.
Oh, yeah. And spraying you with parfum. They took a child's Dexcom away from him.
Oh my gosh.
It's just how he stays alive. But do what you want to do. But you're going to have to answer to me. So, who's coming to Denton for the holidays? I guess we are. And Rachel's going to have to fly in. We've had enough of her not participating. She needs to fly in.
Yeah, we'll have to fly in for that one. If it's the case, I'm thinking it is.
I think it's okay to take a child's Dexcom away, don't you?
No.
I'm just checking. And wait, there's more for Denton. In Denton, in junior high, you have passes. And if you don't use all of your bathroom passes, you earn a reward at the end of the month. But when you're diabetic, you need to go to the bathroom.
A UTI?
Cindy, we are live.
Yeah.
People can hear you. Anyway, all right, tell your friends. All right, we're ready. Are you ready?
Okay. Yes, ma'am. So I just thought this one was really, it's from Just Kidding. It says, "Hello from the ditch banks of North Carolina."
I like that.
You are so much better than a ditch. Okay. Good morning. As I work as a special ed assistant in Fayette County schools in Tennessee. I'm struggling with taking students to a regular education class that they do not benefit from at all. These are not life skills and do not help them at all. A student cannot read sitting in an 11th grade English class. My question to you is why do these students need to attend these classes? Please help me figure it out.
They don't.
P.S. I love you.
I love you right back. They don't. So the student's not in their LRE. You're violating their least restrictive environment. The two things have to be in play: meaningful benefit and harmful effect. We had a conversation about that. Me sitting in a gym doesn't make me an athlete. So a student sitting in a class that's way above them emotionally, socially, academically, there's no benefit. We're just rolling disabled kids in and patting ourselves on the back. You need to get back to the table in Tennessee and talk about the least restrictive environment and talk about the pros and cons and where's the best place to implement the IEP goals. I'm going to address this ongoing question. And the question is, what happens when the president-elect dismantles the Department of Education? So we're doing a whole training on that tonight in the academy, but I will address it. Number one, I don't have a crystal ball. Number two, the odds of anybody dismantling a public federal agency is quite lofty. There have been so many politicians that have promised to do all sorts of things. And literally you only have 4 years. If every politician did all the things they promised, it's not plausible, right? So we do have agencies that have changed over the years. And so we'll talk about that. So it used to be called HUE, the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare. And that was changed many years ago. So those entities, if they're ever reorganized and you wanted to use all your bandwidth and all your 3 legal branches and all the litigation that will come with it, to do that, it would take years. And of course, our congressmen and senators respond to their constituents. And so all of us, no matter what side of the aisle we are on, believe in education, and education will be funded. It would just be funded in a different way. But dismantling the Department of Education has been the number one topic among politicians since the 70s, since they formed it in 79. So it came after the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, and it came after Educating All Handicapped Children Act. So acts are very different than federal agencies. So we still have Title I, we still have the Office of Civil Rights, we still have the Americans with Disabilities Act, we still have Individuals with Education Act, we still have 504. So those things will not go away. They have to be supported and delegated by somebody. But usually when there's a conservative administration coming in, they believe in leaner government. When there is a Democrat administration coming in, they usually they believe in more government funding. And so parts of difference of, 2 different ways of seeing things, but I am not concerned about education going away, nor am I a party to make predictions to make people fearful. I'm not fearful about any of it. We're going to educate children in America, and we're going to do what's right by kids with disabilities.
Great answer.
Are those new glasses?
They are.
I'm going to have an update before you just put them on. Okay, go ahead.
Right. Absolutely. Is there a way we can obtain a private or our own aid for our autistic son?
So if your student needs a one-on-one aid the entire instructional minutes of the day, you have to have the data to support that he would fail miserably without those minutes. And so I don't find a lot of occasion that that's the case, nor do my partners. Do we have some kids that need one-on-one? Yes. But our intention is to deliver that special education and then fade it where it's appropriate. But I don't find a kid in a 375-minute instructional day that needs somebody on their hip every single minute of the day. And I think that often leads to kids ending up in self-contained classes because we wanted them to have a para or an aide.
Can an RSP aid, it says, so an RSP aid can't provide SAI? Question mark.
I don't know what SAI is.
Maybe we'll get some more clarification.
Is it SDI?
Oh, it could possibly, maybe it was a typo. That would make sense.
Yeah, so specially designed instruction can only be delivered by somebody who's special. So a special educator, a related service provider, an LPC, an evaluator, or an instructional service provider. They can certainly follow that lead under the supervision and watchful eye of a special educator.
Awesome. Can any child get an IEP review if signs show they're struggling?
Yeah, well, if we have signs that the IEP is not successful, we're charged with going back to the table. So that's an obligation we actually have.
Excellent. So a Texas mama wants to know, do you have any advice for documentation for accommodations?
So do I have questions about it? So I think what's really important is that we write accommodations better. Accommodations are a drop-down box. We're like silver hoops, gold studs, a pearl necklace. We just pick all of these very general ones. You need to take that general accommodation, which is a drop-down in the software, and go back in and talk about the specificity for that child, exactly what that means. Usually when I see an accommodation, it says extra time. That means nothing. That means nothing. So you guys are not muted, just so you guys know. And so you need to have accommodations that are pristine and there's no variance in what people are going to do. So when you do that, it's much easier to track them.
There's another one, it's added onto this. How do they request documentations of the accommodations that were given?
So, I mean, you have to have a reason. If I just go up to Stephanie and say, I want you to prove you did the accommodations, that's not really a good way to start a conversation. So one of the things that I train in the mastermind, the information's the same. The law is the same. What makes you a better advocate in a meeting is your ability to have meaningful conversations that are not isolating and they're not attacking. And so our job is to have a conversation about uncomfortable truths in a way that people keep listening. So my first question would be, why do you need a copy of the accommodations? And I'm going to assume you need that because you believe it's not being implemented. So before I ask for that, I would have a conversation around, I think based upon my student not making expected gains, I'm struggling to see if these accommodations are appropriate that we're implementing. Can you explain to me how you do that? Can you tell me what you do? Can you describe what that looks like? That's a better conversation. It's called TED. Tell me, explain, describe. Then I need you to prove, Stephanie, that you're making accommodations. Same intent, different outcome.
Understood. How accurate are these tests that diagnose cognitive learning disabilities?
I think they're pretty accurate when delivered by a seasoned evaluator that has concern and care and consideration for the child that they're evaluating.
Awesome. That question was asked, many times. Okay. Let's see. I was told we can get our own aid for our autistic grandson. Is this true?
Yeah, it's not about what you can do and what you can't do. It's only about what's appropriate. So, again, meaningful benefit, harmful effect. When you have a full-time aid for a child, it creates often more problems than solutions. Special ed, we're trying to create solutions. So, if I have somebody on your hip, it's going to be hard to tell what you're doing and what the child's doing, right? So I'm a grandparent, and so I always wanted to pick up my grandchild. Guess what he wanted to do? Walk, right? So often we just get very attached to these children, and it's hard to tease out what the need is and what is learned dependency. So certainly as a grandparent, I would look at what are those areas that are appropriate, right? If he's sitting during carpet time and Miss Rachel is reading and he's happy, why do I need an adult sitting beside him? So when I train people, we literally take a legal pad and we go through the day. What happens at 8:15? Okay, he's eating breakfast. Does he like breakfast? Just like Miss Karen. He loves breakfast, right? Then what happens? At 8:45, I go into Miss Elena's room. What happens then? They get to dance and get their wiggles out and talk about the weather. Does he like that? Yes. So we just went through an hour. He doesn't need a one-on-one para. So I'm going to greatly caution you because that could end up being the handcuffs that you don't want.
Excellent. I'm sorry. There are many people asking questions many times. It's hard to get through them. Okay. Are you coming to Denton again?
I'm coming to Denton in December. They need to wrestle me to the ground in the parking lot, which I don't mind being wrestled to the ground, just as long as you don't run my pantyhose. Yes, we have 3 more OCR complaints that are about to be opened, and then 2 more that I'll file this weekend. We are sick of it. Sick, sick, sick. And I won't say what that comedian says, but we are sick of it. And I think I'm bringing Kendrick with me this time. Yeah, say something to him. Yeah, I don't think so.
Red is your
Say something to him. Yeah, I don't think so.
Red is your color. Many people are telling you this.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
My son's 1-to-1 is absent. The school is not finding anyone to fill in, so I don't send him to school. What do you think about that?
I think that you're recusing them of their obligation to teach your child. So when you don't send your child to school, they have no requirement to implement FAPE. Send him to school and document the deficit. It's amazing when you send them to school, guess what? They figure it out.
Oh, there we go. See? Oh, we have so many good ones. Once you go into your LRE, your child how long will they be in the LRE?
They'll always be in the LRE because that's a consideration. LRE is not a location. It's a consideration. It's a conversation that me and Stephanie and Rachel and Elena and Cindy have as IEP team members about the acuity of his needs, the bulk of his IEP goals, and talking about where's the best place to implement his program. And we do that across content area. What do we do in English? What do we do in math? What do we do in science, right? And so once we've had that consideration, that conversation, then we can populate and fill the schedule of services page. And let me tell you what those are. Special ed services. Are you going to ask me the definition of supervision, Cindy? I feel like it's right up there with the definition of is.
For pre-K integrated and self-contained, does it have to be a teacher with a SPED degree or working on one?
So working on one is not a thing. So let's clear that up. You're either licensed to drive a car or you're not. You're either licensed to be a special ed teacher or you're not. There's no exceptions in certification for special education. There are exceptions and different tracks for general ed certification. There has never been, in 49 years, an exception or exemption for special education to be delivered by anybody other than a special educator. That being said, for kids in the 3 to 5 year old program, those would need to be a special educator. In the 3 to 5 year old program, they also are allowed to be the general ed teacher. That's the only time that dual certification actually comes out in delivery of an educational product.
Is it a violation of fate to remove students from gen ed specials in order to receive SDI?
What? We don't remove a child from their schedule of services page. We deliver the SDI. So I don't know too many kids that need SDI and specials, but we implement the IEP based upon the conformity of it. What's the conformity? We all agreed upon it and signed it. That's a legal document.
What FAPE violation is it when there are more IEP kids than neurotypical kids in an inclusion classroom?
That's not a violation.
On a field trip with a kiddo, I'm the para. Mom is coming but doesn't help with the kiddo. Is that normal?
It's not her job to help with the kiddo. She doesn't work at the school.
We have Annie saying that she has some tea for you, boss. Serious violations in Virginia.
Call me, Annie. 1-800-SIZZLE. Just call me. Or shoot me an email at Karen@specialeducationboss.com. Somebody just said picking up kids 30 minutes early in Texas illegal. Yeah. Yeah. Is that a full sentence, Elena? Yeah. Yeah.
I am a para in Colorado. Is it legal for the special education teacher to claim my minutes if she isn't seeing them?
No. I feel like these are no. No.
Sorry, I just had my phone jump. My son is deaf and hard of hearing, and the school refuses to provide speech therapy. What can I do?
Well, I would ask for a prior written notice, capturing the 7 federal requirements of the prior written notice of why you're denying a child with a hearing impairment speech and language services. Somebody asked me to define TED again. So TED is a great way of listening instead of, we don't ever want to use in the meeting why. Why is very accusatory term, right? So I would say, Stephanie, when you're working on math with Jim, it seems like you get really good gains. Tell me what you do with him. Elena, it seems like when you're reading with, Bobby, he does really good. Explain to me what that looks like. Rachel, whenever you come out to the car rider line, Cindy goes right with you. Can you describe what you're doing? So tell me, explain, describe requires for them to give you a narrative and kind of paint you a picture of what's going on.
My daughter has a 504 plan, but it has yet to be implemented by the school. Is this normal?
It's not legal. Normal? I don't know what normal is anymore. I would say it's not unusual. And by the way, I've been vaccinated and I'm not interested in normal. I just want the legal requirements to be implemented. That's it. No more. Nothing extra. Just do what you said you were going to do in writing.
Can I ask for changes in safety precautions after my child got a broken bone from a student?
So when you say changes in safety precautions, I probably would need more context around that. I mean, is this a bullying issue? Is this, kids get hurt. I don't know enough information to really fully answer that.
I am dealing with an OT that says, I don't see this in my sessions, but it happens in the classrooms. There's not much more there, so I think they're probably asking, is this normal, or what perhaps to do if that's the case?
I mean, if we have an identified need during the school day, you have to address it. So if the OT doesn't see it, I don't know how you un-OT your needs when the OT shows up. So I would ask for push-in services if she doesn't see it whenever the student pulls out. And so I'm going to just answer these questions again. What happens if the DOE goes away? I don't predict the future. I don't see education going away. So education is not going to go away. Funding for education is not going away. Our civil rights are not going away. Our educational acts aren't going away. If for some reason that massive mountain actually occurred, which would be very unusual, then those duties, responsibilities, and allocations would shift to the Department of Treasury and or to the state level. Again, I don't see that happening. Every politician talks about all the things that they're going to do when they get in there. And so we're going to do a training tonight in Special Education Academy about the history of this. I'm not worried about it. We're still going to have education. We're still going to go to school. It's still going to be funded. We're still going to be America.
Okay, I go tomorrow for my first 504 meeting for my 5th grade daughter. What are some tips that I should know before the meeting starts?
Well, I would have all of your concerns written down. I would ask tonight for an email copy draft of the document so that you can meaningfully participate.
My son is watching movies all day in school. What should I do?
You should get an amazing advocate and file an Office of Civil Rights complaint.
like I have a handful that are repeating as well. How about parent is being asked to pick up their students 30 minutes early in Texas? Is this illegal?
It is illegal because you're taking money for the whole day.
My son's IEP for speech has graduated, and fortunately, he now needs reading and is also in special education.
So are you saying that they've stopped speech services? So if you're stopping speech services, you want to make sure that you get out the same way that you get in with robust formal testing.
My child was told he has used all of his LRE minutes for the quarter. This doesn't make sense. Can you help?
That sounds like my savings account. Thank goodness. All of your LRE. I'm sorry. It's really hard to stump me, but you win. You win. Hey, Dad, put some more money in my LRE account. I'm running low. I got to get stuff at the Commons. What? We just, we ought to remantle something. Lord help us all. My God, we just make it up. Just my LRE minutes. That's where all my money went for blazers. My LRE blazers. Thanks, you guys, for the gifts. Somebody asked me who I voted for, and I'm going to tell you who I voted for. The persons that I wanted to be in office. That's who I voted for.
Well, thank you for voting.
I think you should vote for whoever you want to vote for, but I would never discuss that here or ask that from anybody.
I am new to special education. Where can I read more about my child's right and learn more about autism?
You could join Special Education Academy. We are amazing. We have hundreds of archived series that are available to you once you join. We meet once a week for an hour of training on federal, state laws, the application of the law, the letter of the law, the spirit of the law, and what your obligations, duties, and responsibilities are, and your rights. So please join us. If you're looking for representation, you can email us at advocate@Special Education Academy. If you're looking to access myself for speaking or representation or one-on-one coaching, we have that under training at specialeducationacademy.com.
A Love for Teaching says she missed the 2-day virtual live. When is the next one?
For sure. I don't know. It's probably going to be a little bit. So if you need it, which you do, go ahead and take the on-demand because we have a group mastermind starting December 29th. It will be, I'm pretty sure, the only group mastermind. We do one at the first of the year. So please, 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 please join us for that. So the 2-day is a prerequisite to be in the mastermind.
It's so good.
It's so good.
It's so good. Student is in Humboldt ISD, Texas. 3-year renewal is coming up. They want to do a read instead of an FIE.
Well, anytime that it's not the initial evaluation, it's called a read. So it's called a reevaluation of existing educational data. And so that just means we go through all of those components. Often you'll have school districts say, no, we don't need to do testing. We'll just pull everything forward. I would caution you on that. If you need new testing, then get new testing. If you have a child that has a speech eligibility, you need new testing. If you have a child that has OT, you need new testing. If you have a child that has PT, you need new testing. So make sure that you understand your rights before you just sign that read. But we can do testing in all areas.
Can children with disabilities get in trouble for truancy for leaving early for therapies?
Yep. You are obligated to go to school the instructional day. So, and if you want the IEP implemented with fidelity, he's got to be there all day. So when I talk to parents who are interested in therapies or maybe ABA or any of that, and I'm for all of that, but we can't do everything all the time. So if you were my client and you were deciding between ABA and school, I would tell you to choose. They're two totally different models, but districts are required by the state to have children in school the instructional day.
Awesome. So this one mama says that she hasn't had goals that she has agreed to in 5 years. What does she do?
Well, I mean, it's a different question. Why don't you agree to goals in 5 years? Not a single goal? Not one? I mean, I would have to do a records review to give you more input about that. It would be hard. I'd be hard pressed to find not one goal that I agreed with for 5 years. But everybody's situation is different.
I'm a special ed parent in Colorado. Is it legal for the special education teacher to claim my minutes if she isn't seeing the student?
She's still not. My answer is still no. Yeah.
My child's school wants to change an IEP to a 504 because they state colleges don't take a 504.
Those aren't grounds for
Is
changing
this correct?
those aren't things for, we don't change an IEP because of what's going to happen when you leave school. Banana heads. What? We don't do that. There aren't any IEPs after you leave school. So that's manipulation of the law. Yes, you guys are able to hire me. So if you guys want to hire myself or one of our partner advocates, just email us at advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. Oh, I do have something exciting to tell you. Do y'all want to hear something exciting?
Absolutely, we do.
So we have our trainings that are going to be translated into Spanish. So first we're doing the 2-day. They're working on it right now. It is the top of the line, most pristine AI I would be like, grrr. I don't know how people speak Spanish, but it's going to be really fast. And I speak English so fast, I can't even imagine how fast the Spanish is going to be. So the email address is advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. So we are excited about putting our trainings in Spanish. CC. And then after that, I think the next language, maybe Stephanie knows, the second most popular language other than English in Texas is Mandarin. And then I think third is Vietnamese. So we will start that process. We want everybody to be able to training for reigning.
Awesome. Can the Supreme Court take away federal protections for our kids like they did with Roe versus Wade?
The Supreme Court can do what the Supreme Court does.
Okay. How can one best support special education teachers who have 18 to 20 students with IEPs on their caseload?
They would reach out to their principal and discuss whether or not that is appropriate for you to be able to deliver your skill set with fidelity.
What do I do because my new school placement, the general education teacher won't follow the BIP and give reward points? The team isn't listening. What do I do?
So, I mean, you convene a meeting and go through your legal concerns.
What can be done when a child is physically abusive to their one-on-one aide?
Well, then you figure out if public school is the right setting for them. We have some kids that need a higher level of support. They need an out-of-district placement. They need a day placement. They need psychiatric units, something like that.
Are there next steps for a student who is still failing with a dedicated aide in school? What would the next steps be or options?
Well, an aide has nothing to do with whether or not a child's failing. So they're two totally different things. So an aide is so that you can attend to the expectations of you, not endanger yourself or others. They don't have anything to do with whether or not you're going to pass or make meaningful progress on your IEP goals.
Excellent. Here we go. Oh, another one who likes your red.
You know, you're not supposed to, you guys know you're not really supposed to wear red if you're a female in a meeting. When have I ever followed an expectation? It was in the closet. It said, pick me, put me on. I said, okay. But I did have to change my lipstick. I had to switch from Mover from Buxom to Runway Rogue. Do you guys know about the Runway Rogue? I can't say it really fast because it's fantastic.
Yes. What do I do if the staff at my child's school are being power over and judging my 5-year-old at day 1?
So, I mean, I would sit down with the district and say, I'm very concerned about your visible disdain of my child. Is that something we can fix?
You are doing the Lord's work. Thank you. Oh, that was so nice. Okay. My autistic son is in a triad. It works great for him. What's a triad?
Something that's working great for him.
Okay. What is the pathway to becoming an advocate? I live in Ohio.
You would log on to Special Education Academy and take the 2-day training. And then you would be eligible to come take the training in December, which starts December 29th and finishes January 16th of the Mastermind.
Woohoo! Can a life skills student graduate after mastering all goals and come back the next year and graduate a second time?
You graduate once.
There we go. What do I do if my child is ADHD, ASD, and dyslexic, 6th grade, and is still struggling?
I mean, I'd recommend, if you can, to get representation. You are in a legal setting where you're probably outnumbered, outmanned, and often you have people telling you information that couldn't be further from the truth.
Well, next year and all the transitions. What should I do?
Okay, so you froze it on me. So will you ask that question again? No, you're fine.
Absolutely. I'm worried about prepping my kids for middle school next year and all the transitions. What should I do?
Are you a teacher or do you have triplets?
That's a good question.
I mean, we prep them the same way. It's going to be amazing. You're going to do great, and you're going to be fantastic. I move on facts and data, not fear. So, every parent or teacher is worried about their kids moving to middle school, and you know what? Millions of them do it successfully every year. I would certainly set up a transition meeting if you're concerned about that.
What happens 8 o'clock Central Standard Time after Ask the Advocate?
So tonight we're going to do a training on the history of government agencies that have been mitigated, dismantled, changed, absorbed, renamed, and moved to other things. So you guys can have some framework around that. What is a federal agency and what is a legal right? What is an act? And so I just think that it's coming up so many people's questions. There's nothing to be afraid of. We live in America. We're going to have education. We're going to fund education, and we're going to keep our civil rights. And I just want to give you some information around that.
How many students should a SPED teacher be seeing at one time?
However many is appropriate. So sometimes a SPED student needs 2 adults. So I don't know if that's a half a child. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, it's whatever's appropriate.
Okay. Can a non-certified teacher be given emergency temporary spot to fill vacancies in special education?
No. A non-certified person could become a general ed teacher in most states. There's a track for that. But there's never been a track for an emergency special ed anything.
Never.
It would be a violation of 300.156. It'd be, there's a letter that goes with that, October 4th, 2022, from the Office of Special Education Programs that went out to all the states. It said, I don't know what y'all doing, but y'all are about to hear from us and Karen. That's what the letter said. I mean, they didn't know about me then, but it's like in secret type at the bottom.
Secret type. Boss, can you talk about MDR?
Yeah, MDR is a manifestation determination resolution meeting. It's a requirement when a student with a disability has participated in an action that requires a disciplinary response. And we look to see if that action has a direct and correlated link to his disability.
Are parents allowed to invite people to their IEP?
Yeah, just like the school's allowed to invite people to the IEP. I only invite people that have an educational need and can be beneficial to support the family and or add to the conversation.
Okay, I just had to read this one. It's a comment, but it made me kind of chuckle. Someone's thinking about doing a GoFundMe for schools so they can have training for their attorney.
That's going to be a big GoFundMe.
Are you an advocate for parents and SPED students or special education staff too?
Probably 20% of my clients are school-based members. So yeah, I'm an advocate for everybody, so that we get it right for the child. I'm not for anybody or against anybody, but we have to equip people that have had no training from the school, or worse, they think they've been trained. But we have to learn how to implement the IEP with fidelity.
That would be worser. I also have a question. I am a teacher. Can you exit EC, or should they move on to a new goal?
What do you mean by exit EC?
Good question. Let's see if she gives us a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How do I approach a teacher that is talking to my child like he is a 3-year-old, but he's really 9?
Stop it! Stop it, stop it, stop it! That's what I would do. I would reach out to the principal and say, can you please talk to your staff member? She's being inappropriate with my child.
How many students can a long-term substitute special education teacher have?
Are they a special education teacher? I don't find that many long-term subs are special education teachers. If they were, they would be hired as special educators. So at 4 meetings today, I'll be filing 4 state complaints, long-term subs. What you need to say is, can you tell me that person's full name? And they will say, their name is Cindy Irwin. Okay? Is Cindy Irwin a certified teacher in the state of Mississippi? Cindy is a long-term special ed supercalifragilisticexpialidocious sub. Is Cindy Irwin a certified special educator in this state? And get the answer. And it's only one of 2 answers. Yes or no. And then based upon that, if you really want change, you've got to bring state complaints.
If my daughter has a new diagnosis, do I need to schedule an IEP meeting?
So you need to provide the information if you think it's meaningful to the school-based members. If you believe it rises to the level of an educational eligibility, or the medical condition or the disability or the condition would change components of the document, then certainly convene a meeting.
What are your thoughts around the science of reading as it relates to writing appropriate goals?
The science of reading as it relates to writing appropriate goals. So the science of reading has nothing to do with writing an IEP goal. Are you asking me if I need the words science of reading in the goal? I wouldn't imagine that you would, but I mean, it wouldn't hurt it. But then I think you're splintering things a little bit, but I believe in the science of reading, and I believe in writing appropriate IEP goals.
Can a special education teacher refuse to allow AAC communication devices in their classroom?
No. 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 I would not allow them in the classroom. Problem solved.
My son needs a para due to his TBI, but the school has no applicants. What can I do?
I would say, why does your student need a para if they have a visual impairment?
Does my child need to be suspended for 10 days before an MDR?
Nope. You can call an MDR at any time. It's the district's decision whether or not to hold one. It doesn't make any sense to me why we would just let more bad things occur, but sometimes they do that.
How do I get help from you and your team?
Just email us at advocate@specialeducationacademy.com.
Can high-functioning autism have a one-on-one with him in class? He has difficulty to focus in class and an IQ of 122.
Yeah, I don't know how a para helps you focus in class. And we got to really start breaking down, like, a para doesn't crawl inside of your brain and make you focus. So for me, that would be no need for have a one-on-one para if you are exceptional.
Are we allowed to go to school and watch our children in the school environment? I've been told no due to privacy concerns.
It's not a privacy concern, but if your student sees you, it's probably going to change the outcome. If the school knows that you're there, it probably changes the delivery of product. I mean, if you came and watched me in my office, I'd probably sit up a little bit straighter, get rid of some of these croutons and ranch dressing and grape jelly packets from Whataburger that I suck down all day long. So, I think the real question is, what is the problem? What is the need or concern that you feel like you need to go observe your child? And sit down with the team and talk about what are things that we could do to fill in the areas of need that your child has. Yeah, the Whataburger. Yeah. Yep, I like them bone. I just have them here. And I just cut the little piece off and they're like it's like having an apple. Right? It's just like an apple.
I'm moving to Texas soon with my current IEP from Illinois. Do you have any suggestions?
Get air conditioning. Get lots of air conditioning. I mean, I would recommend that you get an advocate. Texas ranks 50th in special education delivery services out of 50. So, that's what I would recommend.
This is for a family with a kindergartner. Are paras in class support legally allowed to change diapers in the gen ed classroom?
Ask me the question again.
This is a kindergartner. Are paras in class support, in parentheses, legally allowed to change diapers in a general ed classroom?
Well, that's not where we restroom. We don't restroom in the middle of a room, so the answer is no. Somebody, there's kind of a reoccurring question. I want to address it. So somebody said, what will happen to FAPE if there's no Department of Education? So FAPE is a requirement of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. It's a requirement of the Supreme Court decision of Andrew F. versus Douglas County Schools, March 22nd, 2017. So Department of Education is a department that houses and distributes regulations and money. So regulations and money are not tied to whether a child with a disability is due a FAPE. And they've been due a FAPE for 49 years, so I would imagine that that's not going away.
How can you add things to your child's IEP?
You call a review IEP meeting.
You answered one very similar to this for a 504, but my grandson has his first ARD meeting later this week. What question should I ask?
Milk or dark chocolate? That's what I would ask. I would ask for a full draft copy of our document before I got to the meeting so that I can meaningfully participate. Without the draft copy of that ARD document, it's unlikely I'm going to be able to make an informed decision. I'll need to reschedule. Have all of your questions written down. Do not be rushed. Do not be rushed and do not be rushed. And record. It's amazing what people say in a meeting. And for me, it's milk. If you're sending me chocolate, it's milk. I mean, I won't throw the other way, but if you're asking. Oh, did I tell you guys I went to another country and did not come home with salt and pepper shakers? I was just so nervous. I was so nervous about immigration and all the salt and pepper shakers were like homemade. I was like, I feel like I'm going to be like in an episode of Dateline. So, but I did get a sweatshirt from the Hard Rock Cafe. Guess what color it was? Guess what color?
Pink.
Nah, what? How did you guess that? And I bought flip-flops. I've never owned a pair of flip-flops because I don't own a pair of shorts. Oh, I was just naked before the Lord on the beach there with my skirt and my tankini. It's amazing.
Were the flip-flops comfortable?
Oh, no. Who wants to wear a flip-flop? They're like a cork claw. Ugh, who thought that up? And they make that noise. It's so irritating, the noise. I want flip-flops with shoestrings. What are those called? Oh, tennis shoes. That's what I want.
A CST put speech to text in the modification accommodations, but she checked off AT considered but not applicable. Is that legal?
So you have to look at AT every year. So the consideration is a requirement. So that means the committee had a conversation around it. Not that you checked a box. Blessed.
Heidi wants to know, that lipstick rocks. What color and brand is it?
Let's look at it, Heidi. At this time of night, I'm going to need a second pair of glasses because this is when you know you're old. Hold on. It is Runway Rogue Trophy Wife. Something I wish I was, but it's nice, right? It's like 1980. It's yummy. It's really it's the most expensive lipstick that I buy. I would not usually spend $26 on a tube of lipstick, but I like it. $26. Yeah. That's a lot of money
Well worth it.
for a lippy stick.
The principal is working on other things, typing away during an IEP meeting. Can I say something?
Yeah, I would just say, how's your Panera Bread order going, Betty? I would say, could everybody please everybody that's not working on the IEP document, please close your laptop. Just say it. I say it in every meeting. Why wouldn't you say that? It's your meeting about your child. Yeah. Can you imagine if your surgeon was like checking his ESPN betting while he's doing surgery? That would be a problem. This is a child.
How do we get our questions asked on the live?
Ask them.
Here we go. Is it problematic to be an SE teacher and an advocate for families in the same district?
Yeah. Yeah, they'll bring that to a screeching halt. Ask Bonnie. Ask Bunny. We would not be doing that, Bunny. We do not do that in Ingleside.
Can the head of special education department for a school have zero educational background in special education?
Yep. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they've been dropped on their head. I want to say there was an accident. I don't want to say it's on purpose. So I'm just going to assume that they fell off their office chair one day and hit their head. Is that what happened, Cindy? Ba-bam.
And then they were pool noodled. Yes.
But they're in charge.
State violation.
Rachel is pointing to something. She is pointing and she's tired of you ignoring her. She's not going to have it. and Cindy just keeps going. Cindy is a teacher. She's amused by us little people. Wait your turn.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a fate violation to remove a child from specials, music, and art, and tech?
To work on specially designed instruction?
Because of a master schedule. Did we read that one again? Okay.
No, we don't remove children. You remove the obstacle. Mm-mm.
Awesome.
And then you play that song, Everybody. Rachel knows that song.
The school audio recorded an IEP meeting on a personal cell phone. What should I do?
That's illegal. Recordings are solely allowed on school devices. So run on down, get the boom box, get an Apple device, whatever you people use in school. But you cannot record on your personal device.
Was I a witness to a crime?
You were a witness to a crime. We witness crimes all day long, but the difference is we're gonna report them.
I requested a draft agenda and received topics. What should a real draft look like?
And so I don't care about the agenda. The agenda is doing what's right for kids. And I find that agenda is often by a controlling person. There's no language about agenda in the state regulations or in IDEA. we certainly need a roadmap of how we're going to get through this IEP document. What you're going to ask for is a full draft copy of the IEP document. Without that full draft copy ahead of time, knowing that it's just a draft and all decisions are made in this meeting, it's unlikely I'll be able to make an informed decision. We're going to have to reschedule. You don't want that, do you? Do you? Do you? Is it me, or does Cindy tonight sound like she's eating fudge?
I love this question. It's one of my favorites. I am a mom who was interested in becoming an advocate. Where is the best place to start?
With Special Education Academy 2-day intensive training. The best.
The best. It is life-changing. Let's see.
Oh wait, somebody just said I was told my tone of voice was harsh. You know what I would say to that? It seems like you're ready to provide some evidence that supports that statement. When I'm pointing out what you're doing wrong, I bet it feels harsh. But it's necessary to get to the root of the problem, to get to the top of the solution. Bloop.
Do you ever come in and train special education administration staff?
Yep, I'm headed to Connecticut and Vegas. This is not the...
Hey guys.
This is my husband. He was very upset that all 500,000 of you do not recognize him in public. So next time y'all see him, will you just go, he's the boss of the boss. There, you got the 411 people saw you. Are you excited?
Yeah, now they know who I am.
We love the boss of the boss.
He is the boss of the boss. Yes, I'm coming to Vegas for an amazing group. I'm coming to I'm going to Wyoming. I'm going to Connecticut. Come see me. Yeah, that harsh tone. If somebody said, if they called me out of my name, I don't like you, you're rude, I would say, it seems like you're ready to provide evidence that supports that statement. And I bet it is harsh when I'm pointing out that you are breaking the law for children with disabilities that you take funding for. I would agree that probably feels harsh. Muffin.
Awesome. Okay, we have time for one more.
Is it about Florida? Let me ask y'all a question. If you pulled up to your child's school in Florida, in Seminole County, and there was a church pew blocking the door, would you mind that? It's just a question. Go ahead, Cindy.
It would depend if that church pew was overlooking a child who was unsupervised on the playground.
And if it had a cup holder for your Slurpee. It should have had a cup holder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The district says self-contained students have the right to have a goal in every subject area. Is that right?
It's actually a legal requirement. Yep. If you're in a self-contained setting, whether you're gifted or you have a cognitive difference, you are required to have an academic goal in all 4 or 5 core content areas. So, love you guys. Care about all of your questions. Have you ever been a teacher? Please, people, stop listening to this lady. Yeah, you guys listen to her. You shouldn't listen to me. I don't know anything. I'm not a teacher. What do I know? Stop listening to me. Unless you want to. Then there's that. So remember, we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody. We're going to be at Special Education Academy tonight talking about the probability, the likelihood, the mountain that it would take to dismantle any federal agency, and the few that have been done since the 1700s. We're going to go through that, and then the redistribution of them. So we have rights. The rights aren't going away. We're going to have education. It's going to be funding. Thank you for thanking me for my knowledge. I love you guys. I love you guys. Even the ones that say don't listen to me. Because you know what? I'm here for it, and it helps the algorithm. Love you. Remember, we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody. We'll see you next time.